guys, today this is a very special lesson and really a celebration of one of my favorite guitar players of all time, Mr. Criss Oliva, from the band Savatage, of course. And today, celebrating his birthday. This is April 3rd, 2024. He was born on April 3rd, 1963. So he would have been 61 years old today, I believe, if I'm doing the math correctly. And for those of you who don't know, Criss passed away in 1993 from a car accident. Such a shame, too. One of the greats, I think, even at his young age, and he would have done so much more cool stuff with Savatage, I'm sure, with his brother John, and who knows what else outside of that. For me, his riffs and songwriting were really influential. They were really inspiring to me. And his lead guitar playing was very emotional and fluid. It kind of had a mix of Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen to me. Maybe a touch of some of the 80s shred and a touch of somebody maybe like Michael Schenker in there a little bit. But very fluid. So anyway, long story short here is I just wanted to create a lesson for you guys since this is his birthday, and I decided to do a solo that's probably doable by most players out there. It's got a really fast legato run at the end of it, but otherwise it's just a really melodic, cool solo from Mr. Criss Oliva, and this is from the song When the Crowds Are Gone, and this was from Gutter Ballet record, which came out in 1989. So Criss was only 26 when he wrote all this great music and these great guitar solos and riffs and all this stuff. I considered doing a few other songs for this, but just for the sake of getting this video done quickly, I chose one of the simpler solos, but I'll be getting into more riffs from Savatage and solos from Criss and all that cool stuff in months ahead for sure. So let's talk about tuning. It's just standard tuning on this. One of the rare times you'll see, well, on some of the later albums after starting with Gutter Ballet and after the tuning became standard, drop D and that sort of thing. The earlier albums were almost all tuned down a whole step, so it was D standard or even lower with like a drop C in there. I've covered some of their riffs before and I spelled that all out for you, but this one's in standard tuning. Now if you want the tab for this and the backing track, I created an extending backing track so you can sort of jam over the ending part if you want to, kind of like I did on the demo here. And I was just messing around, no rhyme or reason, just trying to play melodically. And so it's a really cool chord sequence to play over. In the key, that part, the end is in G minor. So if you're just kind of messing around over that, just play G Aeolian mode, G minor pentatonic. But this solo, the main solo, is in the key of A. And it just follows these chords here. What was I saying is that if you want the tab for this, you'll want to go over to Patreon. In the link below, you'll see my Patreon page link, and go there and you can check out and get the tab and the backing track for this. Now let's get to the solo. So the chords underneath it just starts on an A chord. This would be implied A minor chord here. To a D. Now this is kind of a implied D major chord. So there's some D Dorian kind of vibe going on here a little bit. So the chord progression goes back and forth between A minor and D. Does this 4 times. then it goes back to the lyrics in the chorus of the song, which changes keys there. But we'll just focus on that solo part. There's also an interesting little rhythm part that goes along with the solo, which is kind of, I recorded it, you can kind of hear it. It goes. See, and that kind of gets that little F sharp in there, which fits right over that D major chord of the F sharp in there. That kind of brings out the A Dorian sound. So, all that to say, let's get started. It comes in on that A chord with a bend at the 20th fret on the B string. Bend it up a whole step. And then what you're going to do is play it again. And this, the second part of that is you're just bending up 20 on the B and then playing 17, 19, 20, back to 19, and then bend 20 on the high E. But you start that with the bend, right? Nice vibrato at the end. Then we're going to play this. And that's 20, pull off to 19 on the high E, and then play 17. Whoops. Then play 20, pull off to 17 on the high E, and play 17 on the B. This cool little arpeggio bit here. So this is muted here. That's 12, 15 on the A string, 14 on the D. I'm just alternate picking that. String skip over to 12 and 13 on the B. And then play hammer pull 12, 13, 12 on the high E. And you end that phrase on 15 on the B string. So from the top, then this part's a little bit hard to hear on the recording. I'm pretty sure it's 7th fret on the G string. And there's some pinch harmonics in there too, but I'm just basically bending this up 4 times. So after you do this, four times on that. And then some vibrato at the end, and then here we're going to pull off from 8 to 7 on the high E. Play 10 B and do that again. I like to actually grab that with my ring finger at the 10th fret because we're going to do a little scale run. And notice that's muted. And that's over that D chord. So it's... and then we're going to finish this part off with... So you're going to bend up 10 on the high E, lower it, pick it again 10, pull off to 8, pick 8 and slide to 7, pick 7 and hammer onto 8. But it's all fluid, so you hear those kind of runs all the time in Criss's playing where he's kind of moving around on one string like that. It sounds really fluid and awesome. Okay, so before we get to this last run here, let's just kind of backtrack and go over all of those phrases together. So kind of at a medium tempo. Okay, and then the big legato run at the end. Criss did a lot of these rolling legato licks where it's sort of like you're sort of has that rolling feel to it. There's very little picking here except when you're changing strings. Let me just play it slow for you. Now I will say that this sounds very close to me, but it's really hard to say totally for sure if all the notes are exactly correct. But this is the kind of lick he would play, and it sounds very accurate to me. It's one of those things where you play it and you cram the notes in, and then you get out of the lick and come out at this bend. And if it all lines up and times up, it sounds really good. So that's the trick, is cramming the notes in and then coming out of it at the end on time. So here it is slow. A little quicker. Let me slow that down just a little bit. Notice that there's a slide. So right there, sliding from 8 to 10. There'll be another slide on this next group. See that from 10 to 12, and then we're gonna play. End it there, so a little quicker. Like that. And the notes are right out of the A minor Aeolian scale. It's 5, 7, 8 on the low E. Then go to the A string and play 5, 7, 8, 7, 5. And that's just one pick. Hammer on and pull the rest. Back to the 6th string, 8, pull off to 7, pull off to 5, hammer, on the 5th string, 5, 7, 8, slide up to 10. Okay, and then you're going to go to the D string and do something similar here. Exactly the same, it's just up an octave. So this makes it like a little easier. You're playing that same run in 3 octaves, basically 2 octaves, and then part of it in the last octave. Slowing that down, the notes are 7, 9, 10 on the D, then 7, 9, 10, 9, 7 on the G. Back to 10, 9, 7 on the D. Back on the D, back to 7, 9, 10 G, slide to 12. Notice my picking, pick, right there. So only when I'm changing strings. And if you actually wouldn't have to, you could get away with not playing a pick and do the hammer on from nowhere thing if you like that. Speeds things up a little bit, so when you're going right here, you can avoid that pick there and it'll speed you up a little bit. I kind of like the feel, the control over the rhythmic idea there for me works a little better when I pick that. But sometimes if I'm just ripping through something, I'll play that way where I won't pick even when I'm changing strings. So and then at the end here it goes 10, 12, 13. Same thing to there. But then just that much and you'll play 13 on the B, 10 high E, and bend 13 up a whole step. And give it some vibrato, and that's the end of the solo. And that's 10, 12, 13 on the B, 10, 12, 13, 12, 10 on the high E, 13, 12, 10, oh, let's see. Just that much. And then, and that's it. Okay, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the entire solo for When the Crowds Are Gone. I hope you enjoyed this. It's really a great solo and indicative of the kind of melodic genius that and fluidity that Criss played with. Man, I sure do miss him and wish he was still playing and creating some killer solos. But we have a lot to listen to from those first Savatage albums, and this is a great album too, Gutter Ballet. So check this one out and make sure and grab the tab and the jam track over at Patreon. I also got a free sweet picking guide down below. Check that out if you're into sweet picking. My free gift to you, you can grab that. And I will see you next time. Go listen to some Savatage. Rock on.